Hey YouTube, what's going on? Chris here. Want to bring you an update today of Bitcoin. Right now we're at $8,341. We're down 2.86%. And guys, what we're seeing here is some major rejection again at the 200-day moving average. So we're going to dig into all this. If you get something from these videos, guys, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Remember, I'm not your financial advisor, just here to show you the upside, the downside, and the sideways, and kind of give you my targets here so you can plan, formulate a plan. And that's the thing, guys, you always want to have a plan and then execute on that plan, regardless of if it goes your way or not. You always have to have a plan, even if the market goes against you, especially in a space like this, guys. Right now it is 7:28 a.m. Eastern Time. It is October 11th, 2019. So what I want to point out to y'all is, guys, the simple fact that we're seeing another day of rejection at the 200-day moving average. If you can see this right here, this blue line is our 200-day moving average. Every past bull market, we have stayed up above this the entire time. And now what you're seeing, guys, we basically had 2 weeks of trading below this 200-day moving average, which I believe is pretty significant. And what you see yesterday was we had a perfect doji candle put in directly right at that 200-day moving average, as well as this 20-day EMA in orange that you're seeing. So a doji, a lot of fighting indecision. And then what happened was the bulls tried to push up over top of this 200-day last night, and we saw massive rejection there. And now we actually have a pretty nasty candle coming in here, guys. We have a longer wick on the top where the bulls were rejected, and if we end up forming like we have today, then that's going to be a bearish engulfing candle as well. So we really want to keep our eye out on that as well. Now, guys, I wanted to zoom in real quick to just the 1 hour just to show you how fast these things happen. So what we were looking at, we were having those nice higher highs, higher lows. So here's our push up, here's our high, here's our higher low, higher high. We thought we were having some type of higher low in here. And then, guys, we tried to go up and make that higher high. And you can see how we had all that rejection, and we had a massive bearish engulfing candle on the 1 hour chart. And that's what makes this market so difficult, is the fact that a lot of these moves, they will happen in 15 minutes, an hour. It's basically a 1 hour candle. And you can see how we pushed up. It looked like we had a breakout of here. This was a false breakout. This was a 5% failure breakout. Then we had a massive bearish engulfing candle, and now we're getting pushed down. And we're going to see if we can find some type of support off this 200 EMA on the 1 hour chart. You can see we're getting some wicks there. Maybe if we could put in some nice hammer candle and then try to get back up here, guys. But it's pretty significant that we saw that big drop right there on some heavy volume. So I wanted to point that out on the 1 hour because we have been looking at the 1 hour chart. Now if we go back to the 1 day, the areas that I need to see defended, guys. And also I want to point out where basically we dropped down through the 0.5 Fibonacci. We pushed up through it with that wick, and now we're having basically a candle trading below that 0.5. So that's also going to act as overhead resistance for us. Now in terms of the areas I would want to go potentially long at if we had some indicators matching up with it, guys, is this 0.618, around $7,244, and this little green box here of support area. Those are the spots to the downside that I would be looking at to see what Bitcoin's doing at that point. If the indicators are starting to turn a little more bullish or bearish, I'd want to see. For me, guys, it's extremely difficult to take a long where we're at right now when we're trading below that 200-day moving average. We have the 20-day EMA over top of us. We have this 50-day moving average in pink as overhead resistance, and we also have the bottom here, which I have in red, of that descending triangle that we broke down through. So we have a ton of overhead resistance right now. But what you have to remember, guys, this market is very irrational. So right now it could look like we're going to be going lower, and a whale steps in and all of a sudden we pump back up and we break up into this resistance zone there around $9,300. That is absolutely a possibility, and I'm also planning for that. But for me, the short side is looking more of a probability, just looking at what we're seeing here, that we could have another leg down is more of a possibility than a leg up at this point, because we've traded below this 200-day moving average for so long, and we're also seeing a lot of rejection at that point. Could things change throughout the day? Absolutely, guys. Could it change overnight? Absolutely. I just wanted to point these levels out to you that we're dealing with. So we'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. So the 0.5 Fibonacci is overhead resistance, the 200 days overhead resistance, the 20-day is overhead resistance, the 50 days overhead resistance, and the bottom of the descending triangle that we broke down through is overhead resistance. So that's why I'm saying when you play this game, you just want to put the odds in your favor. And right now, guys, things are looking like there's more potential to the downside than there is to the upside. Okay, so always remember that. But this is the key area that I'm going to be looking at here around we'll say $7,700 down to around that 72.44, that 0.618. Guys, if we do go down to this area, the 0.618, and we get some type of a bounce off it, a lot of times your 0.618 will go back to your 0.382. So if we are to have some type of a pump here, I wouldn't be shocked for us to get back close to around that $10,000 range. Then we'd have to see what we end up doing with that. But right now we've just been having these lower highs and lower lows coming in, and it's something that I want to keep on my radar, guys. You always want to put the trend on your side, and so far the trend has been down for Bitcoin. And I want to get into a few indicators here with you. And guys, if you like these, like, subscribe, smash that notification bell. That's going to help you the most. I try my best to get out daily videos for you all. So with the stock RSI and the relative strength, let's take a look at these. Our RSI, guys, we're at 40 right now. Remember, we've talked about that crucial 40 area. We don't want to get trapped below that because a lot of times it can act as overhead resistance. And what I like to do with the RSI, I would throw some type of a trend line on here just to take a look at that. Guys, so that's basically what we're looking at there on the RSI. We just have to see if we're going to be able to break out of that, or if this is just going to keep acting as overhead resistance, and each time we hit it, we get pushed to the downside. And now another thing that's a little crazy too is our stock right up here. It's looking like we're about to get some type of a bearish cross to the downside. We're at 93 and 97. So on the stock, that does need to cool down a little bit more. We'll have to keep our eye on that and pay attention to it. The next indicator that I wanted to point out to you was our awesome oscillator. This one I like to look at as well with that histogram tick. Now with the awesome oscillator, it's looking like we're slowly starting to want to turn positive here, guys. But you know, anytime, sometimes you can go to turn positive, then it can actually go back down. So it's just something that I want to keep my eye on. But right now the histogram is starting to tick to the positive a little bit more. And then let's check out our Bollinger Bands. Or you know what, guys, we'll do our Don chain channels here. Give you a little better example. You can see them a little bit better. Let me get the Fibonacci off here. Alright, guys, so what we're also seeing in these channels, which it's going to help show us the trend. Remember, guys, the trend right now is down. We're seeing overhead resistance of this 20 band right in there on the Don chain channels. Do you see that? So what happened was we came down, we tested the bottom of them here, we tweezer bottom down here, we came back up, we came back down, we had a bullish engulfing candle, we tried to push up through that 200-day, and then we saw rejection directly in the middle of this band here, guys. We'll just call it the middle band right there. We're seeing some rejection and some push to the downside. So, you know, what I want to do today, guys, is just come on here and tell you to be patient. Right now, I'm not in any position. I'm just really waiting to see what Bitcoin ends up doing here. If we're going to continue to get rejected, you know, below that 200-day moving average, or if we're finally going to start getting back up above that and testing some of these higher areas around that $9,300 range is what I'd like to see. But just remember, guys, a lot of overhead resistance right now. If you go back through, you can see in blue here this entire uptrend. Once we had this huge impulse wave or impulse of volume right here, this entire move we were up above the 200-day moving average, and now we're having a lot of candle body closes below that 200-day moving average. And in my opinion, that's pretty significant. You can see for the most part of the bear market here, we were ridden by that 200-day, guys. We popped up a few times and then we just got ridden by it. And it's been so tough. But, you know, this entire uptrend, we were up above this 200-day moving average, guys. And history does matter. History repeats itself a lot of times. And what we're trying to pay attention to is if we're going to find some type of support off that 0.618, and then that's going to start moving us back up to where we can get some type of higher high, or if this was our market cycle here and this was the blow off top on high volume like we had over here, and maybe it was just a smaller market cycle, that now we're going to have to shake the whole thing out before we go back again. So that 0.618 is a crucial area for us, guys, right around this green box. We really need this to hold, and we need to start breaking those lower highs and lower lows and start setting those higher highs and higher lows. That's what I'm looking for on Bitcoin, guys. And in my opinion, Bitcoin's going to be the driver of the market. If Bitcoin starts crashing and basically we give up the 0.618 for support, most likely altcoins are going to follow. That's just what it's been, guys. I would hope that the Bitcoin dominance would drop down even more, and then we would find some basically institutional investors or, you know, strong investors who have a lot of money putting the money that they made from Bitcoin into the altcoins, then maybe seeing that dominance start to drop down into the 40%, 45%. Because I remember the last alt season we had, it was around 40 or 45 is what Bitcoin was in terms of the dominance. You know, but these are the key areas, guys. We're just really working in between We'll call it 7,200, and then we'll look up there to around that 92.41. That's the area that we really have to see what's going to take place. But just remember, in this market, just like on this 1 hour, I want to show you again. Because textbook wise, guys, when you're looking at this and you're seeing this coming in and beautiful higher low here, another impulse wave up, and then down here, you would expect this to go back up, and that's what we were even looking at. But you know, when these whales step in and they want to dump Bitcoin, they can do whatever they want, and we could be in a beautiful, perfect uptrend, and before you know it, the whale comes in when it doesn't even make sense and drops us to the downside. Because we also had a trend line break here, guys. We'll just do a real rough trend line just to show you. So this would have been our trend line, and now we're having a trend line break down through it, which a lot of times when you have those trend line breaks, you can fall pretty hard pretty fast. So want to put on your radar, guys. Let's see on the 1 hour chart if we can defend that 200-day EMA. I think that's going to be important for us, and if we do, what we do with this 50 and this 20 once we have a nice little reaction bounce back up there if we do. So if you guys like these, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I appreciate being here with you today. I wanted to get it out early to you the best that I could, and then you do what you want with it, guys. Remember, it's 7:38 a.m. Eastern Time. It's October 11th, 2019. Leave it down low, guys. Let me know what you're doing with Bitcoin right now. The manipulation is very real. It's just something that we have to deal with in this space, guys. God bless you all.